NYIT is a community service of the New York Institute of Technology.
Covering the news of Nassau and Suffolk County's Long Island News Tonight with Ken Eckhart, Carol Peck, and the award-winning LI News team.
Good evening. I'm Ken Eckhart, and here's what's happening. The Supreme Court won't overturn the convictions of a Long Island couple convicted of enslaving two Indonesian housekeepers. The High Court today refused to hear appeals from Mahander and Varsha Subnani, who had sought to overturn their forced labor convictions. The couple was convicted of enslaving two domestic servants the couple brought from Indonesia by keeping their travel documents and having them perform forced labor on their behalf. Prosecutors said Varsha Subnani was primarily responsible for inflicting years of abuse on the poorly educated servants. And they said her husband let the abuse take place and benefited from the work that the women performed in the couple's $2 million Syosset home. Well, the trial starts this week for a 29-year-old New York man accused of killing a husband and wife at their Connecticut jewelry store in 2005. Former Queens resident Christopher DeMeo was already serving a life prison sentence in New York for killing Long Island jewelry store owner Thomas Renison of Glen Cove back in 2004. In Connecticut, DeMeo has pleaded not guilty to the fatal shootings of Tim and Kim Donnelly during a robbery at their Fairfield store. DeMeo faces the possibility of the death penalty if convicted. DeMeo's former girlfriend, Nicole Pierce, has pleaded guilty to felony murder for her role in the Fairfield killings, and she awaits sentencing. A two-car crash this morning in Dix Hills has left one of the drivers hospitalized in critical condition. Police say 18-year-old Jacqueline Kozlowski of Melville was driving on Vanderbilt Parkway in Dix Hills around 9:30 this morning when she lost control of her vehicle, crossed into the oncoming lane, and crashed head-on into another car. Kozlowski was listed in critical condition with head injuries. The 48-year-old driver of the other car was treated for neck and back injuries. Police say that investigation is continuing. A little girl who police say told them she was pulled out onto the ice by a dog had to be rescued after she fell through the ice into the water. Police say it happened yesterday afternoon at the end of Candy Avenue in Sayville. A 911 call reported a person had fallen through the ice, and the responding officer crawled out onto the ice about 50 yards to reach the 11-year-old, who was in about 4 feet of water. She was unable to move, but he was able to grab hold of her and begin dragging her back. When the ice broke again, an ambulance worker was able to throw them a rope, and the two made it back to safety. The little girl and the officer were taken to a nearby hospital for treatment, and the dog was also rescued. Two men have been charged with stealing 3 handbags from women who were walking in Hicksville. Police say it happened late Friday night along Cool Avenue. The two victims were reportedly approached from behind by 20-year-old Adesola Oguntunji of Westbury, who grabbed the handbags, then ran off, meeting up with 22-year-old Luxon Desir of Newcastle. The two suspects then got into a car and drove off, but were spotted a short time later and placed under arrest in Newcastle, both charged with robbery. Well, when it comes to what's good for healthy nutrition, Grease isn't usually the word. But the musical Grease has now been adapted to help teach teenagers about ways they can improve their eating habits, as Sophia Allen reports.
To help raise awareness of dangers of obesity, these Great Neck North High School students are putting their spin on the musical Grease. The students were given the chance to write and perform parodies from the musical to help teach others about the negative effects of unhealthy eating.
Oh, hello, hello, hello. Tell me more, were the omelets egg white?
This student says kids today aren't really aware of how poor eating habits can affect their overall well-being.
And there's some girls and men who also are anorexic and bulimic, and it's people don't really see that what they're doing to themselves can lead to irritable behavior or like just bad, like they could like have heart attacks. Like the bad things can happen to them, and we try to like prove that like in a fun way.
Sandy was like strict everything and completely intolerant, never had any junk food. Like we wanted to say that it's important to eat healthy, but sometimes once in a while you can have a little sweets here and there.
They also say the performance took months to prepare.
We started to write it and we rewrote all the songs. The script was, everything was original. I'm like really proud of what we did. Everyone did such a great job.
I definitely helped with a lot of the scenes, and the choreography was very fun. I helped with that too, so.
The performance was funded by the Kohl's Cares for Kids in conjunction with the Cohen's Children's Medical Center.
We came up with the idea of Grease because Grease is the worst, it's the worst, it's the worst. And then we took it from there, and you can see the kids were very enthusiastic. And what's nice about it is it's always, as I said, it's always very nice to see young people working to help other young people who are not as fortunate. And, you know, I'd like to think that's what theater really is all about.
In Great Neck, Sophia Allen, LI News Tonight.
Veteran broadcaster Regis Philbin says he's retiring from his weekday talk show. Regis, who's 79 years old, made the announcement at the start of this morning's Live with Regis and Kelly, which he has hosted for a quarter century, most recently sharing hosting duties with Kelly Ripa. Philbin said he would be stepping down from the show around the end of the summer, but he didn't specify a specific departure date. Well, it was an up day on Wall Street today. The Dow finished the day up 50.5 points. NASDAQ was up 10.5 points. And the S&P was up 1 3/4 points. NYIT's LI News Tonight continues after this.
The Nassau Bar Association is offering a free seminar on planning with your aging parents at its headquarters in Mineola on Wednesday, January 26th at 7 p.m. For reservations, call 516-747-4070. The Roslyn Landmark Society kicks off its 2011 lecture series with Triumvirate, McKim, Mead & White, Art and Architecture, Scandal and Class in the Gilded Age at Atria of Roslyn on Wednesday, January 26th at 7:30 p.m. For more information, call 516-625-4363. The One Who Laughs Lasts teaches breast cancer survivors how comedy cures at Adelphi University Alumni House in Garden City on Thursday, January 27th at 7 p.m. For more information, call 516-877-4325. Or check out Milton Avery and the End of Modernism at the Nassau County Museum of Art in Roslyn Harbor through May 8th, Tuesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. till 4:45 p.m. For more information, log on to www.nassaumuseum.org/events. If you have an event you'd like included on the LI News Tonight community calendar, send it to linewstonight@nyit.edu.
Press play to start your future. Learn the industry. Use the technology. Become an expert in television reporting, journalism, radio, digital film, public relations and advertising, television production, digital graphics, a beautiful state-of-the-art campus, a road to the job you've always wanted, in the media capital of the world. Communication Arts at NYIT. When can you start?
Some stories around the world today. Ex-Haitian dictator Jean-Claude Duvalier was led out of his hotel today by Haitian police. The former dictator, known as Baby Doc, was forced into exile in 1986 in a mass uprising against his brutal regime, and he had been living in exile in France. But But he made a surprise return to Haiti on Sunday. Duvalier reportedly said nothing as he was let out of the back of the hotel. Asked by journalists if he was being arrested, his longtime companion laughed but said nothing. Human rights activists have been clamoring for his arrest. The International Energy Agency says global economic growth and a cold winter in the Northern Hemisphere will help sustain higher than expected oil demand this year. The Paris-based agency predicts oil demand this year will rise to over 89 million barrels a day. That's up from 87.7 million barrels a day last year. The IEA warns that currently high crude oil prices could put a brake on economic recovery and says oil producers, financial investors, and consumers would all suffer if prices linger around $100 a barrel this year. And Japan says nearly a third of its university students graduating this spring have not found jobs. The report released today highlights the dwindling employment chances for young people, even as companies post robust profits. The latest numbers prompted the government to link the report with new measures to help job seekers, including offering companies subsidies to hire the new graduates. The joint survey showed 69% of university students got jobs as of December 1st. That's the lowest level since 1996, when the government began collecting data, and almost 5 percentage points worse than just last year. Well, after upsetting their arch rivals in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs over the weekend, the focus now for the New York Jets is the AFC Championship game. The Jets will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday for the right to play in the Super Bowl. After losing the AFC Championship game last year, Coach Rex Ryan is hoping for different results this time around. The Jets and Steelers will meet for the second time this season in Pittsburgh. The Jets won the previous matchup in Week 15 of the regular season by the score of 22-17. A business associate says rock promoter Don Kirshner has died of heart failure at a Florida hospital at the age of 76. Kirshner, who Time magazine once dubbed the man with the golden ear, died yesterday at a Boca Raton hospital where he was being treated for an infection. Kirshner was behind the TV show Don Kirshner's Rock Concert in 1972 and gave national exposure to musicians including Billy Joel and the Police. He also boosted careers of comics including Billy Crystal, Arsenio Hall, and David Letterman. A spokesperson for the family of Sergeant Shriver says the former Peace Corps director and vice presidential nominee is in critical condition at a hospital in Maryland. It's reported the 95-year-old Shriver has been admitted to Suburban Hospital in Bethesda. No other details about his ailment have been released. Shriver announced in 2003 that he had Alzheimer's disease. He served as the first Peace Corps director in the administration of his brother-in-law, President John F. Kennedy, and was Democrat George McGovern's running mate in the 1972 presidential race. Shriver's wife, Eunice Kennedy Shriver, died in 2009. Well, after an overnight of snow and sleet, we had a mostly rainy and windy day today. The high was up near 40 degrees. Tonight, skies should be cloudy with a low in the low 30s. Tomorrow, a mix of rain and snow showers, high in the low 40s. Thursday, partly cloudy with a high around 30. Friday, snow showers with a high around 30. And the outlook for Saturday, partly cloudy with a high around 20. And that's it for NYIT's LI News Tonight. I'm Ken Eckhart. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.